Hi, I'm John Pawlak, and welcome to Eye on Harness Racing. Our eyes this past week, as well as the eyes of fans around the world, were focused on the Meadowlands, where the $1.5 million Hambletonian final dominated the weekend action. Perfect weather and the promise of a great racing card brought fans of all ages out to cheer their favorites on what had to be considered one of the sport's greatest days. And it was the day on which Muscle Hill took his place in history.
And they're off, and there goes the Chancellor from the outside. Federal flags caught just a bit wide early, and Muscle Hill protects that rail.
Muscle Hill's victory in the 2009 Hambletonian was one in which he led every step of the way and set a track and stakes record and equaled the world record, and such performances are always impressive.
An eighth of a mile from the wire, and it is Muscle Hill who's striding clear for Brian Sears. Explosive Manor is racing in second, Symphonic Hanover third, Muscle Hill drawing away with every stride. Operation Hambletonian complete! It's Muscle Hill, 150-1, equaling the world record.
The three-quarter pole, when he's still in the lead, Explosive Matter was on him, and he never came to him, and that Brian looked behind himself and saw that nobody was coming up, and he just tapped him a couple times, and in the top of the stretch he took off, and once he hit the top of the stretch, I was standing up, I was cheering because I knew he won the race. I knew nobody was going to catch him, and then he just opened up. I don't know if it was 6-7 lengths, but it was an amazing victory, and he's an amazing horse.
How then does Muscle Hill's victory stack up against other Hambletonian winners? Well, we asked a man who's eminently qualified to answer, the trainer of 3 Hambo winners himself, Ron Gerfine.
Well, he's absolutely one of the best that I've ever seen, probably the best that I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen a horse more fluid and more accurate of gait than he is, and have that kind of speed and that kind of agility and that kind of ability and usefulness. To make a comparison with horses in the past, that's very, very hard to do. Because, I had a couple myself that I thought were pretty good. And, they raced at a time when, there was a hub rail and there were wooden bikes and we were going heats and everything like that. So, time doesn't mean anything. To say he's the greatest there ever was, I never saw a horse that impressed me more, I'll put it that way.
Of course, Hambletonian Day is far more than just the Hambletonian. There were several exciting miles, not the least of which was Broadway Schooner's very narrow win in the $780,000 Hambletonian Oaks.
A wild finish in the outs, Raising Rachel very tight. Raising Rachel and Broadway Schooner hit the wire together, 154 flat.
Of course, it was a great day for Broadway Schooner's owners and breeders, Arlene and Jules Siegel, and for their trainer, Jim Campbell, who had his biggest day in racing since he sent Tagliabue out to win the 1995 Hambletonian. When we return, we'll have more from the Meadowlands.
Get it on the go. Entries and results from every track in the United States available on your iPhone, BlackBerry, or other web-enabled handheld device. Mobile.ustrotting.com, harness racing delivered to you.
Another mile that impressed many people this past Saturday was Lucky Jim's smashing victory in the $300,000 NAT Ray.
But Lucky Jim is edged away now to a 2-length advantage. Glenn Kronos pops the earplugs and pulls down the blinds in second.
He had recently seen a 15-race win streak come to an end in the Maple Leaf Trot, but there was no doubt that in the NAT Ray that all of Jim's luck had returned.
But it's Lucky Jim with a 16 to go. He is well clear, and Lucky Jim is going to do it. He wins the NAT Ray. Lucky Jim, 150-1, equaling the all-age world record.
Julie Miller trains Lucky Jim. She reflected on his dominating performance and just how fast he might be able to go.
It was funny because Andy told me after the race, he never popped. I was warming up the Chancellor for the Hambletonian, so I wasn't up there for the winner's circle. And when Andy and I finally got to speak about it, he said, I didn't pull the plugs if I knew we were going that fast. I said, Andy, just wait a minute, just win the race and have something left in the tank for next week. And he chuckled and he agreed with that, but I definitely think he probably can go faster.
I have in my hand a copy of the official 2009 Hambletonian program. Always a great keepsake of a great day at the Meadowlands. Hambletonian Day betting topped $8.3 million, the third highest betting total in North American history. The record is $9 million, also bet on a Hambletonian Day. If you know what year the record $9 million was bet, I'll send this program to you along with a Hoof Beats t-shirt. Put your name and mailing address in an email along with your answer and send it to I@ustrotting.com. The first correct answer we receive will win. In news from around the sport of harness racing this past week, horsemen in Ontario have spoken. The members of the newly formed Central Ontario Standardbred Association have ratified a 5-year contract with Woodbine Entertainment, bringing to an end that track's contentious relationship with the Ontario Harness Horse Association. The group is headed by Hall of Fame driver Bill O'Donnell, who has said that he wants horsemen to have a more cooperative role with management in moving the sport of harness racing forward in Ontario. 2 heartbreaking losses suffered in the sport of harness racing this past week. On Saturday, Hambletonian Day, Troy Sylvester, son of Hall of Fame trainer Chuck Sylvester, died as the result of injuries sustained in an ATV accident at the family property, Magical Acres, in New Jersey. Sylvester, 45, was long associated with his father's Grand Circuit racing stable, and as a trainer on his own, the younger Sylvester trained winners of $1.8 million. Earlier in the week, Jim Grundy, a member of the California Harness Racing Hall of Fame, died at age 74 from cancer. Grundy came out of Western Canada to star at Monticello Raceway, and in the early 1970s decided to relocate to California, where he became an unquestioned star. He won more than 2,600 races. A couple of weeks ago, we offered a Yannick Gingras bobblehead doll to the first person who could correctly identify the fastest 14-year-old of all time. It turned out to be a bit of a trick question. Claudius Q sped to a 152 victory at Balmoral Park just last year, and the day after we taped our show, but before it aired, GT's Greg also won in 152 at Harris Chester, so we would have accepted either answer as correct. Thanks to all who entered. Our winner was Don Harmon, who lives in the state of Delaware. Don, watch your mail. That bobblehead doll is headed your way. The Grand Circuit now moves from the Meadowlands to Harris Chester, where on Sunday, August 16th, it will be Super Stakes Sunday. The Battle of the Brandywine, the Colonial Trot, and the Valley Forge will all be raced on Sunday. Ken Weingartner, our correspondent, will be in the Chester's Winner's Circle to bring us exclusive interviews you'll want to see next week. By the way, before we leave you, I want to say thanks to TJ Birkin and Rich Johnston. They did a great job with last week's show while they were on the road at the Meadowlands. We'll be back with you next Thursday with another edition of Eye on Harness Racing. In the interim, if there's something you want to ask us or any comments you may have, send them via email to I@ustrotting.com. Thanks for watching.